Taste Holdings Limited is a consumer brand holding company focused on the franchising of restaurants. The company establishes new restaurants as well as markets, advertises and provides operational support to the franchise restaurants. It has a market cap of 818 million rand, a PE ratio of 23 and a dividend yield of 2%. Of course, that's the restaurant side of the business. They've also got NWJ, which when they bought it, Carlo Gonzaga and his team, people were a bit perplexed as to why this restaurant business would be buying into a jewelry company. But it's turned out to be really successful. And I think it's about 30% of sales, nearly 40% of profits, and been a big growth provider for the group.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're 100% right there. And it's always been difficult, but I mean, Carlo doesn't, he's not the kind of guy to sort of step back from a challenge.
He doesn't really conform.
No, he doesn't conform to anyone, and a very charismatic leader of the company. I mean, remember, obviously, Taste also now got the Domino's franchise, which is, I think, going to be the big profit driver for the business. I think it's probably the most exciting thing happening at Taste at the moment. As for NWJ, I mean, also it's targeting sort of that middle segment. I mean, and probably one of their competitive advantages is they're completely vertically integrated. So the way that they've done it is they manufacture the actual jewelry as well, and then
I think 40% of the jewelry they sell is manufactured in Durban, right?
Yeah, in Durban, which is great. It's a huge competitive advantage for them, especially looking at that middle segment. So, like you said, I think I think on operating profits, it's actually about 50%. But the reason for that is they actually own 45% of the NWJ stores as corporate stores, where I mean most of the rest of Taste is actually just a franchising model. I mean, you can go and buy an NWJ store that costs you about 1.5 million rand, but like I said, the company actually has sort of backed the whole product by having a lot of corporate stores, and it's doing very well for them, and that's why I think you're seeing that big sort of earnings kicker to them, and why the division is so important to them.
And I think that those stats that I actually said earlier were for the first half of the year, and they did indicate that obviously the second half, which includes December, the big gifting period in South Africa, it becomes a lot more significant. We can see the share price, it's been quite flat since 2013. Funnily enough though, if you have a look at what Famous Brands have done, they've also lurked around 100, 110 for quite a while, so I wouldn't be too concerned. When you have a look at this overall group as an investment, though, obviously that Domino's is the big kicker. Shifting the Scooters brand, which I thought was a bit tired, so I'm glad they've done that. I haven't had Domino's yet. Have you tried it?
Oh yeah, I've had tons of Domino's. It's bad, actually, because that is addictive.
I have a few friends who said they love it, but others say, the base is maybe a bit thick, but obviously we can have a long
I know there was a survey done in the US on Domino's, and everyone was sort of like 5 out of 5 for pricing, 5 out of 5 for marketing, 5 out of 5 for like deliveries and time of getting it, and 1 out of 5 for the actual flavor. So they get everything right except the pizzas. Apparently, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that though, because I think
maybe it's one of the L'Oreal issues where you tell everyone how great it is, and then eventually they believe you, even if the product isn't that great. But I think that's going to be very important to follow and see. When those numbers start filtering through into the earnings, and we can see how well that is actually doing. Are you hot on Taste?
It's difficult. I'd probably rather still go through Famous Brands. Like you said, they've been quite stagnant for a while, and I just there is a concern about how much they're paying for the Domino's franchise, and I don't know. I'd like to just see a catalyst to get it moving before I bought. So for now, I like Taste. I've always wanted to be hot on Taste, but I'm not.